Hello everybody, my name is Sean Russell. I am the founder of SoFlo Vegans. We are so excited to have you here today at the Vegan Health and Fitness Expo, and I have the privilege and honor of sitting on a panel with two amazing individuals that I've had an opportunity to spend a few days with and see how amazing they are on screen and behind the scenes. And it was a no-brainer on who I wanted to bring to this event to showcase the power of plant-based living. And ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Chef Babette and Shabnam Islam.
Thank you so much.
So, if you guys have ever listened to the SoFlo Vegans podcast, and I've had both of them on our show that you'll get to hear soon, one of the first things that I do is I ask about your vegan origin story, because I feel it's so important to know how we started this journey, because so many people are going through their own journey, and hearing that inspiration I feel is extremely powerful. So I am going to start this panel the same exact way, and I'm going to ask both of you, what is your vegan origin story? And I will start with Shabnam Islam.
Okay, well, you know, my best friend was vegan. She was Playmate of the Year in 2014. I worked with Playboy as a personal trainer for them and traveled extensively with them. And I was on vacation with my friend, and I didn't feel like it was appropriate to eat animals in front of a vegan when we were dining. So she said, Shabnam, you haven't eaten any animal products in 3 days. I dare you to go vegan. 30 days. And I never looked back. It was like the red pill and the blue pill, and it sucked me right out of the matrix. And all of that time, in 30 days, I realized how simple it was to transition to a plant-based lifestyle and still get all of the benefits that I needed in terms of health and fitness performance.
And Chef Babette?
Well, mine started with a man. Anyway, I met my current husband, Rondell Davis, in 1990, and he prepared my first vegan meal. I didn't really know what veganism was about, but he fed me tofu, and I kept calling it chicken. And so he kept saying, this is not chicken. But however, what actually led me to the transition was the fact that I had such a horrible time digesting food, and after I ate that meal, I felt amazing. And I knew I was going to make some changes in my life. I had to.
So that's interesting, because the thing I love about hearing the different vegan origin stories is that none of them are the same. Even if elements of them are the same, everybody goes on their different journey and has a different type of story. And one of the things that fascinates me the most is the fact that not everyone jumps into the lifestyle for, let's say, the animals or the environment or the health. And because we are here talking about health, I feel like that is a good place to spend the majority of our conversation, because I speak for myself, and from knowing you guys, we're definitely doing it for the animals, but I feel in terms of you being able to show up for the animals and show up for your loved ones and not be reactive to things that may happen to you because of your health and then scramble to make those decisions. Being able to get this information from all of the different exhibitors, as well as these panels that we're going to have, is my mission on this panel. And what better panelists to have that conversation?
Your speech, huh? Thanks for having us.
So, Chef Babette, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do in terms of, I know you're a chef, you have a restaurant, but tell us a little bit about that backstory of how you got started being a chef and cooking delicious plant-based food.
Okay, perfect. I love sharing, and I certainly love sharing with people who are listening. So if you're in this room right now, can you please listen to the people, the panel on stage, because we're about to share some great information with all of you, and I so appreciate you for doing that. My journey actually started in 1990. After I became vegan myself, and my husband taught me a lot of vegan dishes, I decided that I was going to get really, really thick with prepping food because I was never a cook. I mean, people in my past used to always laugh at me. She can't cook. Anyway, but I got a restaurant. And so basically we started making this amazing food, and we decided this is really good food to share. I thought I was going to be a singer, but I went to Japan and started meditating. And I saw something else for myself. When I got back to the States, I had made the decision that I was going to have a catering company, a vegan catering company. And one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, we have a 15-foot cart we built. We go over to Agape Spiritual Center, and we started accumulating block-long lines with plant-based food. Our signature was the wild rice taco. Now, come on. Before I met Ron, I never heard of wild rice. Before I met Ron, I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff I had never heard of. And these wild rice tacos were flying off the shelf, and we were just like, okay, people are really, really loving this. Getting ready to go to Jamaica, I had been a flight attendant, going to take our little annual trip to Jamaica, and we're walking down Market Street, and the doors to Stuff I Eat were open. We went inside, we met the owner. When we got back from Jamaica, he had left us about 6 telephone calls and saying, I'm going to gift you this building. First, last month's rent with a little security deposit, we wound up with 2 buildings. And we're still there today. I know, because in Inglewood, bringing plant-based to Inglewood, you know, and so when we opened the doors, we didn't even have tables and chairs. We had 3 bistro tables. We didn't even have a trash can. But the people said, I had heard that if you open the doors, the people will come. And they did. And here it is, 2023. This was in 2008. Yeah, it was in 2008 we opened the doors. And here it is, 2023. We survived COVID, and the doors are still open, and people are still coming in, enjoying the plant-based food in Inglewood. So please, all you have to do is appeal to the palate. That's it. We're into taste and texture. And if you give us that, we don't care if it's plant-based. As a matter of fact, when you eat a plant-based meal, all that belching and all that fat and all that slime and somebody else's blood and somebody else's pus and all that kind of stuff, you don't have to deal with. You're dealing with the natural juices from the foods that you can, most plant-based food you can eat live. You don't even have to subject it to heat. And understand that when you subject your food to temperatures over 115 degrees Fahrenheit, you're killing the life in the food anyway. Life begets life, y'all, and death begets death. Me, at 72 years old, I'll jump down and do me a push-up whenever I get ready to do that push-up because I nourish and love me. Self-love, self-care also depends on what you are ingesting in your body, ingesting in your mind. What are you thinking? What are you claiming for your now? Or are you living yesterday? Or are you trying to jump to the future and avoiding what you have right here, right now, in front of you? Was that what you asked me?
I don't know, but everybody's listening. I'm listening.
I'm like in the audience right now.
I'm just saying, man, it's the best decision I ever made in my life. And when it comes to my family and loved ones, do you know, I met my husband in 1990. It is 2023. I can still count on one hand the number of my family members that decided to transition. But they're sick, got a bunch of them with diabetes, heart disease, cancer, can't walk. You understand what I'm saying? Was not my path. The universe did not send me here to sit down somewhere and just go. not me. Too full of energy, too full of life. I love the gift of life. I love the whole. I love each and every one of you. I do not meet a stranger. I don't care about your complexion. To heck with your complexion. We come from one source, and that is the intelligence that created all of this. It made no mistakes. And guess what? It gave us teeth, and it gave us an appropriate diet. It did not mean that I needed to go attack a cow and try to kill it with my teeth. It ain't gonna work. As a matter of fact, I can't even eat the cow with my teeth. I swallow chunks. I've never been able to break down animal flesh in my mouth. But give me an apple. How about a mango? How about some potatoes?
No, I love potatoes.
How about rice? How about some broccoli? Yeah. Anyway, I'm done.
All right, Shabnam?
How do I follow that? What was the question?
Your turn? No, but let everyone know, because you have such a rich background in education and in the science of it all. Like my conversation with you on our podcast, I was just like it was mind-blowing, like the facts that you're putting out. So tell us a little bit more about that, so as we go into the conversation further, they know what sort of questions they can ask.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm a professor of kinesiology at Cal State Northridge. I teach anatomy, biomechanics, nutritional science, dietetics, and I'm also the personal trainer of this lovely lady to my left, Miss Chef Babette. So the proof is in the pudding, people. What do you want to know? When people ask me what is the magic pill, and I say, you mean to get Chef Babette arms? Woman went vegan 30 years ago. She eats foods high and rich in fiber, and she actually doesn't eat often. When she wakes in the morning, she creates a juice or a drink that has multiple fruits, vegetables, herbs, bulbs, sometimes like garlic, ginger, and all of these things are heavy in antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. And she sips on this during her workout, pre-workout, post-workout. And the reason why she does this is because it's so high and dense in carbohydrates and rich in protein. Because when we look at legumes and beans and vegetables and fruits, what we realize is that they actually do all have their amino acid profile. They have different quantities of amino acids, which is what makes it not complete. But because Chef Babette uses multiple fruits and vegetables, she just piles it in there. She doesn't think about what they are. She's not thinking about the antioxidants. She's thinking about the colors and the flavor. And because she does that, she hits that complete amino acid profile. She also gets over 15, what we say is a 3-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to protein, and that's what you need for successful performance. And so that's like 15 grams of protein, 15 grams of carbohydrates to 1 gram of protein. She definitely gets triple that in her drink of fruits and vegetables. So she's sipping on this pre-workout, during workout, post-workout. And after we're done, we go get some lunch. This is when she actually tangibly eats some food. She'll have some rice with some spicy eggplant, tofu. I'm telling what you eat. Okay? With a little side salad, no gluten. It's very important that she eliminates this from her diet because it inflames her, and for many people it does. After that, because she's eaten that really dense carbohydrate and protein meal in the middle of the afternoon, this woman goes to bed at 6 p.m. She's not going to be eating all throughout the rest of her day. She goes home, she relaxes, she maybe eats some fruit, some nuts, and then she goes to bed, and she wakes up before the crack of dawn because this lady is in her own restaurant by 3 a.m. prepping all of her food. So the reason why she's so full of life at 72 is because she wakes up before the sun gets up. And so she's got this really great dopamine receptor in her brain where she actually has this great circadian rhythm. And she has a really great, beautiful reward center firing neurologically in her brain because she sees the benefit of the action of work, not the reward of that I worked and now I'm selling food. She finds vibration in the activity. That changes brain chemistry. On top of that, she doesn't eat a lot, but she's consistently physically active. She's on her feet over 12 hours a day. She sleeps over 8 hours. There is no magic pill. She does it every day for the last 32 years. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the result of consistency and science. So when people ask me, what do you supplement with? Nothing. I supplement with my diet. A supplementation is simply that. If you're not getting the adequacy in your food system, you must supplement. But that is why it's called a supplement. Eat a meal. Eat things whole food and plant-based. But also, when you're helping people transition to more plant-based and they need the satiation or the taste of an Impossible Burger, don't wrong them on the choices that they're making, because that is a right choice in the right direction. And our goal in health is to improve these parameters, to change behaviors. Behavior change is a beautiful thing. We usually follow what we call the trans-theoretical model of behavior change, where we see people go from this phase of pre-contemplation, like, I don't have a problem, there's nothing wrong. But, I'm sorry, what are your two ladies, what are your names in the front? Susan and Pamela. Kayla. Let's say Susan and Kayla always go to lunch with Chef Babette. But Kayla has been working out with Chef Babette, going to a free fitness program at my gym. Now they decide that they're going to walk to lunch, but do a brisk walk. And Susan is like, oh, damn, I can't keep up with them anymore. Well, no longer does Susan think she has a problem with not being physically active. Now she's in the contemplation phase. She's like, oh my God, I have a problem. I need to change my behavior. Then we move her into the preparation phase. How am I gonna start preparing to exercise like them, eat like them? Who should I hire to train? Then she gets into the action phase, where she's actually doing this for 30 days. And then, God forbid, if we're lucky, she makes it to the maintenance phase. She's been doing that for 6 months or more and maintaining that health behavior change. So everybody has the capacity to go from maintenance back to preparation, back to contemplation, no matter where you are in your life, whether it's physical fitness, whether it's your dietary practice, or whether it's making time for your own meditation, or whether it's saying, no, I can't do that, right? We wade through this behavior change. And so when we're talking about looking and feeling and being this way in our 70s and 80s, you have to start today. You have to make those choices every day and make it your prime focus, because as my friend says here, no one's ever running on 100. But I'll be damned if I don't put myself first, because I've got nothing else to give anyone else if I don't do that. So what the hell are you waiting for? Go vegan.
So I'm looking around and I see like some itchy hands, and it looks like some of you have some questions. So just by a quick raise of hands, how many of you have a question for either Chef Babette or Shabnam Islam? Let me see the hands. All right, so we do have a few questions. So what I'm gonna actually have is I'm gonna have somebody support with a microphone to walk around and ask the questions. So we're gonna do that in a little bit. So even if you didn't raise your hand right now, it is coming up and we're going to do a Q&A. We may not be able to get to everybody, so depending on how many are left, we'll take it to the other stage. Awesome, thank you guys for that. And one of the things that I come across, and I'm sure both of you get it a lot, is people see how you show up, they're inspired, and they want to ask questions on what they can do to get started. And I know for me, sometimes it's like I have all the answers because I'm doing it, but it's just a lot, and I don't know where to start. So I'm curious on how do you, both of you, this is a question for both of you, how do you approach that? How do you answer that question? Where do you start?
That's a great question. Walking is brilliant. For you to not be considered sedentary by the American College of Sports Medicine, you need to be exercising or walking 3 days a week for minimally 30 minutes a day for 3 months consistently. That has huge impacts on your cardiovascular and pulmonary systems. So we know that that tiny dosage can really change lives. Absolutely. We're talking about cardiac patients and people that are just healthy and people that are sedentary. Just that little bit of walking. So when you're worried about, am I doing enough? That's always a great start, right? And remember, if you're like, I don't have 30 minutes, we're talking about total volume of time. If you got 10 minutes to walk from the parking lot to your office, then that is 10 minutes in volume. Do that 2 more times in the day and you are set. So remind people that it's the little things accumulate, right? Even if you're cooking and you've got 5 minutes for something to saute in the pans, time yourself. Do some push-ups, do some squats. While you're doing that with kids crawling around you, they'll join you. They will match your practice. So don't think that you have to leave the house, go to the gym, really prepare and move your life. You don't. The more you wait, the longer the results will be to come.
And my take on that is to begin to practice, if you are not already doing so, self-love and self-care. Nobody is going to get up in the morning and go do that workout in my kitchen and stuff I eat for me but me. If I want to pay my rent, I got to get up. If I want to feel like I feel physically, I have to go get my workout. Nobody is going to do it for me, and nobody's going to do it for you. I just believe knowledge is power. Understand the human body. Understand who you are. Practice loving you and being the best you that you can be. But learn why you need to do that. Understand what certain animals do to the system. What do they do? Do animals help clog arteries? Do they? Well, maybe you shouldn't ingest them. It's just that kind of knowledge assists you with transitioning. At least it assisted me. So, but loving, and it's not so much, I don't want to come off as selfish, because there was one intelligence that created the whole. We cannot separate ourselves from this whole. We are one with it. Start behaving and acting like you're a part of the whole. Do your part. Take care of you. You'll automatically be taking care of the whole.
So with that being said, we are going to go into our Q&A. We have a few minutes left, so I feel like we can accommodate a couple of people. We have Syra, who is our amazing speech coordinator. Everybody give her a big round of applause. Did an amazing job. And so who is going to have our first question? All right, we'll go ahead and get started right in the front since I'm with, is it working?
Testing.
All right, so we're going to start with Susan Hargreaves.
Susan Hargreaves, so glad that you're here. And you said that you've been doing this for 30 years and you could count on one hand how many of your family members are. I've been doing this for 43 years and I have one family member. So my question to you is, it is so annoying. How do you deal with the really non-stop annoyingness of the family ridiculing and continuing for years to ignore you? I know they're crippled and dying perhaps of diabetes, but still, they're still annoying and they don't listen. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that annoyance, let's say?
Well, if you're speaking to Chef Babette, and since I'm the oldest person probably in the room, I don't deal with it at all. Do you? Because guess what? My 22-year-old granddaughter can't get down there and compete with me with them push-ups. So you can keep on eating them boxes, and be careful. You eating out of boxes, you better flip it over and look at the ingredients. And if it's like 2 paragraphs of words you can't pronounce, and you have absolutely no idea what you're ingesting, perhaps you shouldn't ingest it. But if you want to eat it. Because guess what? I am on my purpose. And I'm winning every second of the day. I don't live by what's going to happen to me next week. I don't have to go there yet. Right now. What am I doing right now for this gift of life? I'm appreciating the gift of life. And if you don't choose to do that, that ain't on me. I'm going to tell you like we say it in Inglewood, do you, boo?
Oh, thank you so much, Susan, for your question. Do we have any other questions? So we'll come to you next.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Great. My question is about vegan meal planning. Do you think that's a good idea for people that are in the process of transitioning?
Absolutely. I don't know if you've ever read Plant-Based on a Budget by Toni Akamoto. She basically creates how to budget $35 a week or less, 7 days a week, 4 to 5 meals a day. And packed with protein, packed with fiber, and it's diverse. And I think when you think about meal planning, and I think a lot of bodybuilders can agree, I used to be a figure competitor when I did eat meat, and what was it? Chicken, broccoli, and rice. It had no diversity to it, but I had a goal in mind, and I ate it. I think when you try to go plant-based, you have a goal in mind, and the things that keep you consistent are to ensure that you don't deviate from that plan. So as a health coach, we always ensure that, okay, what do you have planned? We write nutritional guidance, some sort of food guide pyramid for them to follow, because I think if you want to commit, it's easy for you to make the excuse that, oh, you're hungry, you're gonna stop somewhere and get something, throws you off the thing, and you're like, oh, well, I already ruined this day, so let me just ruin the rest of my meals. It doesn't work that way, okay? So absolutely meal plan.
I agree. And also, do not go out if you're just starting. Please don't go out and buy a whole bunch of, spend $200 on a bunch of fruits and vegetables and put them in that drawer at home. By the time you pull them out the plastic bag, they all slimy and rotten. No, let me just tell you this. There are 3 items that I use in almost every dish. If you guys come to stuff I eat, you're gonna find it in there. Red onion, I dice them when I get home and put them in a container. They're prepped. I can take a handful and dump them in whatever I want. Green onion, I chop them. When I get home, I'm not losing my green onion. I hate chopping green onion with those slimy stems. Girl, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Anyway, and also bell pepper, whichever color you want. Make sure your bell pepper's diced or sliced or whatever. So now you're prepped, pretty much. Then you find recipes for the week. Hey, what if you have a favorite chili recipe? You can have chili with beans. You can have a chili with ground tofu, ground tempeh, whatever, but you got your chili. And you can still put them red onions, green onions, and red bell pepper in that chili. What if you like spaghetti sauce? You make a really awesome spaghetti sauce. Guess what? You can still put that red onion, green onion, and then bell peppers in that spaghetti sauce. And you're still using the same, what's that called? Tomato paste? Got that tomato paste for the chili beans. But see, you see what I'm saying? You're planning it out. So when you go shop, you buy what you need. Don't overshop. Do not overshop. And especially if you're buying life. You buy what you need for the week. And you deal with that. They're just, come on, spaghetti, and then we have lasagna. All right? And then we have to make us some wild rice tacos and some.
We're also big fan and proponents of getting canned beans, canned fruits, canned frozen vegetables.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about losing them veggies. You know y'all done lost them veggies.
I think it's a great assistance for meal planning is when you do have things in the pantry and you do have things in the freezer, you don't have an excuse to not utilize vegetables in your meals. And when people tell you it is less in nutrient content, please do not believe them. Do not believe them. It still has the nutrition, antioxidants, and vitamins and minerals that you need. It's either pre-frozen. By the way, when people talk about losing nutritional content from the process, from the field to the grocery store, it happens for all produce. It doesn't matter if it comes frozen or fresh or canned. They all go through a process. So your job is just to get those nutrients in there, have them in storage in many forms.
You don't want to waste your money. Whatever you do, you don't want to waste.
I've gone through many bags of spinach. All right, do we have another question? Actually, no, there we go, right there. Then we'll come to you.
Hi, first of all, I follow you on Instagram.
Brag off your face.
Or just put the mic
Pull
up
it
right to
down.
your
There
mouth.
you go.
You look amazing.
That's it.
And I follow you on Instagram. And I look at your workout regimens, and they are rigorous. So my question to you is, your skin is so supple, your firmness in your body. What is your pre and post workout meals look like?
Well, actually, it's the juice. I juice every day. That's a big part of my, that's a big part of my diet, juicing. And humans need a lot of chlorophyll. And if you don't want to, I can't eat the amount of chlorophyll that I get in the juice, if that makes sense to you. So, and if you want the fiber, then you blend the vegetables. You make smoothies. But if you want instant, your nutrients to reach the cellular level instantly, you get rid of the fiber. That requires juicing. Juicing separates the fiber from the juice, and you're just drinking the juice. Now listen, hey, I do not want a glass of wheatgrass, y'all. So I make my juice palatable. Sorry, I'm gonna put some apples in there. Gotta have me some lemons. If you want Dr. Sabian, you don't do lemons, and do you some limes. But I'm gonna make that juice palatable. So, and I gotta have it hot with ginger. Honey, that ginger spice is the lick. Are we out of time? Oh, but anyway, so I make what I ingest palatable. And in terms of my skin, it is as simple, baby, as some coconut oil. Coconut oil, boom, I put it under the makeup. I don't even care. I put it everywhere. I got coconut. So I had a friend, he used to call me Shining, because the coconut oil just had me shining all over the place.
Also, when she does eat, I want to be very clear that within 30 to 40 minutes post-workout, you've got a really strong metabolic window. And what we're talking about there is you have a greater insulin sensitivity. Your body can readily take sugar into the muscle cell. So when you want to eat something sugary and high on the glycemic index, that's what she has post-workout. That's when she's eating her rice. She has at least a cup of rice, usually brown rice, but you can do white rice, but I would suggest brown rice because you end up eating what we call the spicy eggplant. So the sauce itself has sugar and glucose in it, and about 3 to 5 grams of tofu with that, and a salad. So her plate is literally grains, vegetables, tofu, vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. That's all it is, but it is packed. And that is pretty much the only time that she's really ingesting heavy forms of food.
Yeah, cooked food.
And it's in the middle of the day.
Yeah. And no more of that after that.
And she doesn't eat late at night because her ass is asleep by 6 p.m.
Oh, did you say that?
All right, thank
Did that help, honey?
Hi, my name is Tina, and I've been a vegan for about 10 years, and I'll be 60 in August.
Happy birthday, baby.
But my question is, what I find is that when you go to the doctor and you're trying to convince them how I eat, and they always want to, how do you get your vegan? How do you get your protein? And this and that. And so my question is how, it's not necessarily convincing your doctor to understand how you live your lifestyle, but how are you when you go to the doctor manually? He or she is trying to convince you, no, you need to do X, Y, Z because you're getting older, blah, 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 blah. You hear that a lot. At least, you know, I'm beginning to hear that, like, you need to do a better job. Even though I'm fit and everything is good, but they still want to try to convince you to do the standard.
You need a new doctor.
I'm gonna let Shab talk about the protein, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. I transitioned in 1990. I do not have a primary care physician. I don't need him. I'm on no medication. None. Okay? So you can't, the last time I went to a doctor and he told me that I needed to eat somebody else's liver, which is a filtering mechanism. You told me to eat his liver for some iron? What did he eat for iron? I'm gonna go to his source. I don't want his liver for iron. No thank you. I'm not eating nobody else's liver. What does the liver do? What does the liver do? And you want me to eat its liver? No, so something's wrong with you. And when another doctor told me, I said, well, how many times should I be using the bathroom? He said, well, you know, 3 times a week. I'm like, well, boo. If you eat every day, you should poop every day. Now, just for the sake of children in here, I'm gonna say it like if you eat every day, you should shit every day. If you eat every day, you need to shit every day and several times a day. Don't you let no doctor tell you shit 2 or 3 times a week. Because you'll get about to be walking around here, oh Lord, I'm so bloated. Now finish with the protein.
When your doctor asks you that, my suggestion is to ask your doctor the same question. How are you getting your protein? Tell me, how many grams of protein are you getting per day? Because honestly, in medical education, they're providing maybe one class on nutrition dietetics, and maybe within that class, it's talking about the benefits of physical activity. This is not their specialty. It is not their specialty. And so my suggestion to you is to find a vegan doctor. There are plenty. You need to find someone who resonates with the way that you think and the way that you see the science, because the science is on your side. And now when we do talk about protein intake, the fascinating thing is that only with animal-based proteins do we have heme element. Remember, he's excited about some plants, I'm excited. So with this heme iron in this dietary protein that comes from animals and dairy, what you find are all these amines, nitrous amines, gross amines. These corrode the cardiovascular system. They act as free radicals. They eat away. They literally stab away at your cells. You only get that in animal protein. You don't get that with plants. You don't get that with legumes. You don't get that with tofu. And with tofu, what you also don't get is estrogen. We talk about estrogen. I'm gonna get soy man boobs or whatever this is. It's not possible, because what it actually is phytoestrogens. They have a different binding receptor to the muscle cell. So it actually doesn't compete. It is beneficial to the human system. And it is a complete protein. It has an entire amino acid profile. You could eat soy every day until the day you die, and you'll probably live to be over 100 because that's the way you chose to eat. When you look at cultures across the world, we look at things called blue zones, where people are living to be centenarians, over 100. We even have one in Loma Linda, California, and that's because the way that they live is not only plant-based, but they're also eating very low sulfur wines. They're actually drinking it, and we see that in cultures in like Greece and the Mediterranean, that drinking this type of wine and eating a high vegetable diet is really beneficial to longevity. And so when we look at the American system, we need to question it. We need to question why we choose to keep people sick, why when we extend their life, it's through the use of pharmacology, through medicine, not through vitality and healthy food. And to be honest, I can't wait to be 72 and look like this and not have a family physician, because what we're looking for is increased longevity and shortened morbidity. And that's what we want a lifetime for. You living like 95 years on this planet, and then 1 week where you just kind of go, oh, I don't feel so well. And then hopefully you just pass calmly in your own bed. And what we see is that this is more common in people that live plant-based. We see that they live without disease, and they live in communities where they are loved, surrounded by family, have good support structures. They live a longer, healthier life. So get yourself a doctor that thinks the way you do.
And that for what you just shared is also my experience as well. And I recently saw a physician just to get my checkup, but it probably has been like 10 years. And I just wanted to be sure, and everything was good to go. There was like, so what you're saying, I can definitely experience myself. And you also hear a lot of anecdotes from people who are actually I wouldn't say curing, but like reversing a lot of these ailments that are out there from them. So my advice to you is to go out into the community. Don't look for secondhand stories. Speak to somebody, even in this room right now. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to search on Google. just ask your neighbor, ask somebody in this room. I'm sure they have an inspirational story of how they've overcame a chronic disease or chronic illness that was adjusted and fixed by the foods that they put into their body. So that would be my homework assignment to everybody out there, to know that you can accomplish a lot by having a healthy, plant-based, whole foods diet.
And I just want to say one thing. For those of you that are actually wondering on how to deal with people that are starting to transition, how do we get them to think a little bit differently? I'd like to point out I'm going to call you my dear friend now, Mr. James Wildman, if you wouldn't mind standing up. I actually use his 10-minute speech that he does on YouTube about how to look at food. What is this called? And he does an amazing job. So James Wildman, he has changed the lives of many of my students and the way that I think. So thank you so much.
Let's give James Wildman a round of applause. So we have, go ahead.
Hey Chef, thanks for coming. We still need to get you come shark diving with us. Anyway, I was wondering if you would talk about how justice in a world of hatred, ugliness, and violence, and being part of a deeper wellness. Because I know you speak about broader, caring more and loving more. So I wonder, I've been thinking for 25 years, and for me, it's a deeper wellness, and I know you speak on it. I wonder if you would share some more about that.
What a beautiful question. I'm so glad somebody, I'm sorry, what was your name?
Jerry Nadal.
Jerry.
Well, basically, it's a belief system that I have, and I've said it in here more than once. I understand the connection to the whole, and I cannot separate myself from the oneness that we have here in the universe. And I know that I was created in and of love, and I just, it's like love is the only thing that we have. It's the only weapon that we have, you guys, right now, to save us, to save our planet. That's love. And love starts with thine self. You have to love you. And by loving you, that means you're going to take care of you. And then you have the ability, you automatically know then how to take care and love the rest. So love is our answer. You know love is the answer. You can have, I don't care how many people that has hurt your feelings, but really the most power you have is forgiveness and love and walking away from that. But our planet home and every species on this planet is crying out for this human species to love them. But we have to first start with self. If you don't know how to feed yourself, if you do not know how to care for yourself, you are not loving you. And that is why we have such a mess going on in our home right now. It's because of the lack of self-love and self-care. You understand? I used to be a junkie. I used to smoke crack cocaine. I crawled around on the floor looking for cornbread. That's what I was finding. The point is, I became to understand my purpose and my oneness with the whole. And I got into me and started loving me, and I understood that is not the path. That was not the path for me. So I overcame it. But guess what? It was some shoes that I put on. I know what it feels like. So if you talk to me about an abuse you have going on in your life, I can tell you exactly how to take a different path. It's all about you. Are you appreciative of this life? Are you appreciative to be able to take your babies someplace to see animals roaming free, elephants leaving their tusk attached to them, and lions and everything we got on the planet, and you want to cut their heads off and put them on your wall? For what? I am not impressed, because you have your rooms lined with death, or you have the tusk of animals that you're going to keep in a storage room, so if they cease to exist, you can make a whole bunch of useless money off of those tusks that you decided to snatch from another sentient being, an incredible being on this planet. But you're going to take their tusks and put them in a room on a shelf so you can sell them later? Miss me. That is not love. That is not love. That's hate for the whole. Leave the human species needs to leave the other animals alone and let them live their lives. Enjoy their purpose. Because right now, we are bringing death and destruction to the whole. It's us. It's us. I ain't trying to preach, but...
You're doing a fine job, Chef.
And just as I mentioned earlier, we will, if you have any further questions, we will be moving to the second stage for a short Q&A. So if you did want to ask a couple of questions, we will be able to do that. But we are bringing this panel to a close. And before we close out, I want to make sure I give both of you an opportunity to say one last thing to the audience. Maybe let them know where they can find more information about you. But I'll start with Dr. Shabnam Islam, if you want to go ahead and kick it off.
Hi guys, you can find me on Instagram, Dr. Shabnam Islam. I also have a podcast with this lady called More BS on Vegan Corn Hub. You can find us on YouTube. And really, I just hope you choose to start now. I hope you encourage the people that you love to start now, and that you lead with guidance and not frustration. Because it's really easy to be frustrated, but I promise you, it's even harder to feel lost. So if you can be that guiding light, please do it. Thank you.
And I just want to say, I love you all. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.